What's the fastest way you've ever seen a new coworker get fired? New guy came into work hammered out of his mind and started trying to operate a forklift right in front of the regional safety manager. A lot of forklift certified and right in front of my OSHA handbook memes were shared that day. A guy at my work was caught playing World of Warcraft for hours each day. Boss called him in and told him that was wholly unacceptable and he had to stop immediately or he'd be canned. Less than an hour later, IT calls the same boss and says the guy is back in his office playing again. He was let go that day. Had a new hire smoke weed in the bathroom within 2 hours of starting his first day. Not vape or anything, but literally lit a joint in the bathroom. Like, bro, my office is 10 feet away. Day 1 shot up right outside the building. Clocked in. Went to work. Was found an hour later slumped over a table slowly munching on stolen muffins like an elderly dog. New guy offered to pull a semi-trailer to a dock for unloading. Said he did it in the army all the time. I told him, nah. You gotta get tested out by the safety guy first. Someone else will handle it. 5 minutes later, I see him pulling the trailer around anyway. Okay. I gotta go tell this dude he's fired 2 hours in. Before I could advise him of his updated employment status, the damn trailer came loose of the tractor. Slid right off the back. He did know how to drive a semi. He did not know how to check the trailer was locked in. A coworker sent an email to a female team member that he had a dream the night before that they had gotten married and he impregnated her. She sat across from me and I literally saw her face as she read the email. A strange look came across her face. Then she walked into the manager's office. She left the office and he got called in and less than a minute later was packing his things. I believe from start to finish it took less than 5 minutes for him to send the email and get fired. Day 1. Delivering pizzas. I was the trainer. Dude wasn't familiar with the town at all. This was before GPS was a thing. Second delivery. He gets in the car and proceeds to floor it in the parking lot, showing off all 80 horsepower for the 30 feet before slamming on the brakes to turn onto the main street, nearly hitting a customer and her young child. I say, whoa, slow down in the parking lot. You almost hit that kid. Fuck em was his response. That was his last delivery. Lasted all of about 90 minutes. We hired a woman who turned out to be pretty abrasive. How she got hired, I have no idea. Our secretary was the sweetest lady in the office and never complained until this new hire talked with her for a few minutes. Right after talking to this horrible person, she approached the boss and said she would walk off the job if this new worker stayed on with us. By lunch half the office was ready to walk off the job because of this abrasive person. She just had an utterly horrible way of talking to people that made him feel degraded and enraged. She was let go at the end of the day. New IT guy asked me accountant if he could use my company card to process payments. I asked what payments does a freshly hired IT guy have that accounting purchasing can't take care of. His excuse was that the president emailed him personally asking for him to pay some invoices via some links he sent. Yup. IT guy fell for a phishing scam. Gone the following day. It was in that moment my company learned never have the director of finance oversee and hire for an IT-related role. Showed up and just instantly dropped her entire life story on the boss, preventing them from doing work and not doing any work her whole first shift. Boss gave her another chance and the next day she just sat in the back in tears over a text she got for the whole day. I work in software engineering and a couple of times I've seen people let go after like 2 weeks. Because they just couldn't do the job at all. Not me personally. But a former coworker told me about an incident at a prior job where the person who showed up to work was not the same person they interviewed. Obviously they were immediately let go. The new dishwasher told the hostess he wanted to fuck her in the ass in front of the entire staff and several early morning customers. It was borderline a mob. I was working as a stable boy. And I was showing the new girl around the stables. As I introduced her to the horses, she was very apprehensive to come near them. Refusing to even step into the stall, she signed on to help care for the horses. Later that day, she admitted that the horses terrified her. So the boss let her go. Came 2 hours late. Didn't do any actual work and then asked how long he has to keep doing tasks below his qualifications. I know someone who was hired as a manager of some retail store. Being the manager, he thought he could show up whenever he damned well pleased on his fist day sign. He's the boss. He showed up around noon and found the store closed. Turns out as the boss only he had the keys so the staff couldn't open the store. Big boss man didn't have to worry about opening the store the next day. He no longer had a job. Got a speeding ticket, 20 miles per hour over, in the company car picking up lunch for the staff. Day 1. He helped the shift leader, a friend of his, steal the ATM from the lobby. He used his own pickup truck. Pizza delivery gig. New guy on his first shift. Claims he's got previous experience. So doesn't need training. Clocks in. Grabs a few pizza orders ready for delivery. Leaves with his car to deliver. An hour later, the calls start coming in about the status of their order. They haven't been delivered. The guy just grabbed himself a bunch of free pizzas and left. I secretly admired him. We hired a director for our office. About a week later, the women in the office were complaining about him, saying he was sexist. Turns out he was in a meeting and a woman tried speaking and he told her that her opinion didn't matter. He was gone within a couple days. How about getting fired before you start working? Our boss hired a new person as a contractor. And he was available to work immediately. So he was scheduled to start work the day after his interview. Next morning my boss turns up, very annoyed, and shows me his phone. The new hire had sent several rambling and confused SMSEs that could be summarized as had a few drinks last night. Won't be able to come into work today. You know how it is. My boss told him the contract was cancelled. Caught one shooting up in their car an hour into their first shift. New girl working as a cashier in a small retail shop. I worked there full time and it was just me and the owner. She was literally just hired so I could have weekends. Owner caught her sleeping in the back on a nest of store t-shirts. He only came in to check after seeing her BF on the camera for over an hour, keeping watch while she napped. She barely made it a week IRC. So, I worked in a Chinese restaurant for a while. Was good stuff. 2 of my male colleagues got caught fucking out the back. I recommended one of them. All of us got fired. Fun times. My mate got called and told he was fired from Subway. He said you guys never hired me. Then they called back and said oh yeah we never offered you the job. But you still didn't turn up to your first shift so don't bother.